Well, okay, you just told me that you met Stussy 10 years ago. You were like 18 years old then.
Yes.
Can you tell, you were in London?
No, I was in New York.
You were in New York. Can you tell me what the scene was like there, what was going on, and maybe also how you met Stussy?
We met actually at a trade show, just the kind of place where you go and look at other people's clothing. And I wasn't in the business, but my family was, so I just happened to be there. And the best description of New York was there was a decent club scene, but it was before everything broke up into little subcultures. Like there was still one place everyone went, it was fun, different music, different rooms. And the big thing that really changed about a year after was rap finally became mainstream at that point, like in 1986. So just luckily we were situated a year before that happened, and we couldn't ask for a better vehicle to ride our way out of. Not that we intended on it, just we were downtown Manhattan. Rap decided to come downtown as opposed to being in the Bronx and Brooklyn, and we were just the right place at the right time, with the right attitude about it. Because we didn't try to be a rap company. We weren't Adidas, we weren't Puma, we weren't Lee or Levi's. We just kind of people that hung out and thought making clothes would be kind of a cool thing to do.
So you said there was one club that you used to hang out. What kind of club was it?
Well, the clubs.
What did the people look like? What did they dress?
Well, there was your archetypal club person, kind of black clothes, whoever that was, art crowd or whatever. They were just kind of fairly normal. It would be that either wear black t-shirts and jeans or funny black like Japanese suits. And we were just kind of the kids that grew up downtown and went out every night because it seemed like a fun thing to do. And our end of it was more like hooded sweatshirts, jeans, and sneakers, and it was a place to kind of drink beer and listen to music.
Yeah, but was it also a club where they played rap music at that time?
Well, the clubs were danceteria area. It was right when Palladium was starting. Rap wasn't really embraced, but it wasn't negated either. Like DJs were free to play whatever they wanted, and people played rap because it was kind of the new thing. It wasn't big, I mean it wasn't a cool thing to do, but it was New York and some DJs liked it. And it was before house music came in. So it had its own niche.
So you met Stussy and you were probably still going to high school?
I actually had just finished high school that summer. So I was kind of out of school with nothing terribly to do but kind of skateboard and go out every night.
So you met Stussy. What was he like? What did he do at that time, actually?
He was starting, the company's been around since 1980, but it was a surfboard company, so it wasn't fashionable. And he wanted to try to have a clothing company.
And how did you get in there?
We just became friends. One of those, we just got along. No more glorious than that. We just called each other, got along on the phone, and started hanging out.
And then how did it come that you came into the clothing?
Well, he was going back to California, and he's like, someone has to deal with this in New York. Since you have some kind of background, just because my family was in it, he figured, hey, you might as well. I mean, I wasn't qualified by any means, but he figured it was better than nothing. And he just liked where I was coming from, I guess. Can't really describe it any better way.
So then you took the clothes also here over to New York, right?
Well, through New York, and tried to get some stores. No one was terribly interested. It's like, who's what? And no one got the idea of a surf company or a skate company or a streetwear company. It was just like, there was nothing like it. Not that that was so special, but there was no category to fill. And at the same time, being a DJ in New York, I had gone to London and people started wearing it over there. I just kind of brought a big box and gave it to people. And then I guess soon after that, everything else fell into place.
What kind of music did you play at that time?
I played mostly rap and like funk, reggae, kind of what I liked.
So you played the music at that time, and how did you look on the clothes? What did you see there actually? What kind of style was there at that time with rap clothing?
Well, rap clothes weren't us, because rap was more like funny jackets with fake Louis Vuitton prints.
Excuse me, I know it's, I'm just asking.
Right, well, I'm just trying to put a kind of base it somewhere and situate us somewhere. We weren't on that edge. We were more the young, like, for lack of a better description, on the Beastie Boys thing. Because that's who was hanging out, and they were the white downtown kids that liked rap. And I mean, we dressed not that much different than we do now. I mean, obviously it wasn't technical outerwear, but everyone wore jeans, khaki pants, t-shirts, sweatshirts, sneakers. We weren't on the kind of uptown, no flaunting gold, no name jewelry. It just, became its own stereotype quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we were on the kind of more workwear ethic. We're the closest, I'd say, to that was Run DMC, because they were kind of minimalist. They wore leather jackets, jeans, sneakers, done deal.
Could you describe what workwear at that time was important, what you wore, and why do you think you wore it?
Well, coming from a skateboard background, it was sheer utility. It was just, you wore jeans because they were cheap and they lasted, flannel shirts, sweatshirts, like down jacket. Nothing terribly fancy. It was kind of like not much money. It just seemed like it lasted for a while. Again, I don't think that much different from what people want now.
Okay, and the Stussy clothes at that time, mid-80s, what did they look like? Can you actually give a description?
Well, it was a beach company, but the normal beach companies made funny like neon volley trunks, and we made black shorts, or like cut-off chino pants, or t-shirts with silkscreen. And it was a big reggae influence. There was a lot of red, yellow, and green, just because we liked it. It looked good, and it seemed to make sense. Just like I guess 10 years now, it's red, white, and blue. That's what replaced our red, yellow, and green.
And Sean Stussy, how did he influence the style? Him as a person in the beginning.
He's very, dress-wise, quite conservative, like nice white Brooks Brothers shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Very normal, clean. I think he just had a good eye for putting things together, where it wasn't just the outfit, it was like the layers, textures, silhouette, and on top of it, the graphics.
And where did he get his influences at that time?
I just think travel. On the street, at clubs, magazines, same place any other designer gets it. Just he wasn't the one to go for fashion forecasting services. He actually lived it.
Can you describe that in more detail, please?
Well, he would go out to real clubs. He wasn't a poser, basically. He'd go out and deal with the people that wore it. And I think it was truthful. And in the end, and it also wasn't a big bureaucracy of merchandisers and designers. It was his company with a partner. And in the end, it was his decision. It's like, I want black pants, I'm making black pants. Next.
Could you again just list what has been influential for Stüssy's style? Which different sports and also the workwear again?
Well, the sport has always been surfing. That's where they come from. But that's not a sport that clothing is involved. But it's kind of a natural thing. You just have to live it. You can't, when you go out to surf, you can't fake it. You either can do it or you can't. And that's kind of what Stüssy was. They just made clothes. And I think the following caught on. People liked that attitude. Because we never advertised heavily. It was very minimal. We never sponsored people like musicians or skaters or surfers. It was, hey, if you like it, here's a box, wear it. And people took it and wore it. It wasn't like they threw it in their closet. And it just worked. It was a phenomenon, for lack of a better word. People liked it.
I want to focus on that a little bit more, the surf attitude. I mean, for you, it's probably something everyday, usual, but for people in Europe, like a surf attitude, how would you describe that?
Quite random and situational, because you have to deal with the weather. It's like a kind of an event in its own right. You wake up, there's waves, you go do it, and if there's nothing, you do something else. But the act of surfing itself is kind of, you float through it. It's not like you can't be rigid about it, and for the most part, fashion's dictated, and we didn't follow that end. We made it, people figured it out, and it was very separate. We didn't kind of make an outfit. Our clothes kind of integrated with other things. Like you can wear our pants with someone else's shirt, and it was kind of like it added to your closet instead of dictating like, here's Stüssy, wear it, live it. We didn't intend that. Because in the end, people wear all kinds of things. And we knew who we were dealing with. They were kids with not always that much money. And if they bought our t-shirt, chances are they weren't wearing it with our pants. So we didn't want to make people spend all their money on our clothes, even though we have plenty of people that do it and we're more than happy to take their money. It wasn't the intent to brainwash them and make them a Stüssy fan. I think they did it just because we were the antithesis of the clothing company.
So when you started Stüssy, you just, like you said now, there were the kids in the beginning who bought the t-shirts, bought the clothes. When you look at Stüssy today, it's a really big, huge company almost, and you can buy it all over the world, and different people buy it. Can you talk about the evolution of this? That in the beginning that there were only kids, and now it's a big company, and how did it come into a fashion? Also, I would like to know if there were at that time any other people who were getting into the streetwear style commercially.
Well, commercially, a lot of people have gotten to street style. But I'd have to say we were the first to address a streetwear company. We didn't set out to, it just came that way. Obviously, street fashion's been around much longer than we have been. But I think, again, Stüssy was the first streetwear company, and companies like Adidas tried to do a Run DM sneaker, but it was just a miserable failure because they addressed the market too seriously. And there's also that gap between product development, merchandising, and the product really hitting the store, where the world moves fast. People were bored of it before it even got out with a lot of those companies. And again, we never set out to be it. We just dictated a really minimal fashion, put it out, and it slowly evolved through a lot of help through bands wearing it and just people wearing it and being in the right places. We were very picky on what stores we were in. We wouldn't sell everyone. We still don't sell a lot of stores. It's not like you can just go to any corner shop and get Stüssy. It's hand-picked, and that's really important to us.
By what is it picked? What
buy a store we walk into and like it. It's very gut feeling. There's no logic to it. Like we don't, look at demographics and whatnot. Just store looks good, they have good stuff, the kids are cool, let's sell them. Or the other one is they opened us up first when we were nothing, we stick by them. And we've tried to keep by that. I mean, I'm sure if you talk to everyone that sells us, they'd have different stories. But I don't think we'd be around 15 years later if we didn't do that. We're like other companies have risen and fallen. We're just kind of the same. We haven't gotten bigger or smaller in 10 years. We're just at that size.
Okay, you just mentioned, you just said, I don't want to pressure you, but you just said that this evolution actually just happened. There were a few bands who were, but could you maybe again tell me, what do you think why it became so fashionable suddenly?
Nothing else. I just honestly can't think of something else to wear. That was in that position. I mean, I don't want to start rattling off other people's clothing companies because that wouldn't be good. But I honestly can't think of one that's ever been so just by themselves. Because we're not the garment center type, mainstream stock market corporate America company. We just did the other thing. And the surfwear companies could never address the city. So we're also different than they were. So we just were at this very weird margin.
You just mentioned the bands that wore your outfits. Can you tell me which bands and what the soundtrack is that went with your style and made it big?
Soundtrack meeting.
Well, the music style, the music scene, what was it?
Music scene to us as a company, I mean, I can't speak for everyone. There's a lot of people that work there, but it seems to be rap-oriented, reggae, funk, and even jazz to some extent. And I'm sure we've never gone like the hardcore punk scene. That's never seemed to be our market, and rightfully so. I'd be kind of upset if a hardcore punk kid went and bought clothing. So we've been the kind of materialist mainstream, where we're not too cool and not too not cool. And the music's been really important to us because a lot of people involved were DJs or producers, and obviously the other end of clothing seems to be music. It goes hand in hand.
So you got to know Stüssy as a kid, and now you're a designer. How did that happen?
He kind of wanted it that way. It was kind of his idea to let me design, and in between I had worked for other companies, because I haven't worked there straight. I've gone off and went to school and traveled a bit and done quite a bit of work for other clothing companies.
So you're a designer now, where do you get your influences? And on the one hand side, where do you get your influences? And on the other hand side, how far can you go? You have a certain limit as a Stüssy designer.
Right, and there's no limit right now where I can go. I can pretty much travel, see anything, and bring it back. I just have to make it what we are. I can't depart from what I think we wore last season. It's kind of like we have to keep in track. We're not going to do rave clothes. We're not going to do funny fluorescent things. We just have to keep on making Stüssy clothes. And that'll modify with time, and I can't really say how. Obviously, sportswear's become more important to us. And streetwear, we've kind of backed off a bit, because that's become a bunch of people copying kind of funny Pan Am logos, and we don't want anything to do with that. So we'll let the kids make their kid clothes, we'll let the big companies make their clothes, and we'll just keep on making Stüssy, and I think the formula is going to keep on working.
So how would you today describe the Stüssy style?
American classic sportswear, which doesn't say that much unless you looked at it, but we make clean clothes. The logos are on it, the fabrics are, we're not going out and finding funny fabrics. It's cotton, it's nylon. You're focused in. You all right? It's all right?
Yep.
So the best description of the Stüssy style would be clean American sportswear, which modifies season to season, but for the most part, we just make very basic clothes that happen to say Stüssy on it. And that seems to interest everyone, because most things, I'd say 75% of our line is actually made in America, which is important to people, and the other part are made in the Orient somewhere, just because their production's much superior and it gets more cost effective, and our competition goes there and we just can't compete not doing it. Is that it, or the ideal customer now?
Okay, again, I would like to say it's classic American sportswear, but there are a lot of companies that do
Right.
classic American sportswear. Where's the Stüssy twist in it?
The Stüssy twist to classic American sportswear would be in the fabrication, color variations, and our logos, and in the end, the name. Just saying that it's Stüssy means something to people, as opposed to going to the Gap and buying a t-shirt with the pocket. a bit too generic for most people. And on the other end, going to polo, that becomes a bit bourgeois for most people. So we have this like funny margin that we play between those two people, which are both companies that we respect a great deal. One being just the most minimal, affordable fashion, and one being extremely high-end, well-made sportswear. And we like to bounce around in there. That most other companies can't do that. And I guess due to our history and our age, we're allowed to kind of step on people's toes, just out of mutual respect.
Okay, and what about the Stussy logo you just mentioned? How important is the logo? I've seen it on almost every piece.
Everything we make does have a logo on it. It might not be the classic script logo, but it does say Stüssy somewhere. And trust me, we'd love to not use it sometimes, but people just wouldn't buy it. That's just part of the whole package. We can't escape our history.
Okay. And how has your target group changed over the years? Could you again describe the target group by the beginning of the company and coming to today?
The target group has always been young. Between, like, let's say, our target group's been 15 to 35-year-olds, depending upon what location. But in America, that's pretty much where we target. I don't know about the rest of the world because I'm here most of the time. But the problem is our target group grew up. So the 15-year-old customer in 1985 is, well, you can do the math, but they've grown up and we don't really want to address the 15-year-old again. Not that we don't want them, but the fact of the matter is we're not the cool young company anymore. We've been around for a while and we just have to keep on making clothes. And we're not getting involved in chasing youth or chasing non-youth. We're just trying to make the same thing we've always made, which is just good clothing. We couldn't go back and do the red, yellow, and green stuff. And we can't go back and make black t-shirts again. We just have to kind of progress through it. And we're not trying to target anyone. But if we had to, it would be a male customer for the most part, between that 15 and 35. And for the most part, 35-year-olds aren't interested and 15-year-olds aren't interested. So we are somewhere in between there.